Hello and welcome to the 6th edition. I'm Charles Pius. Top stories this hour. Osun State government sues EFCC over account freeze, demand Olukoyede's resignation. Kwara kidnap victims return home after months in captivity. And DR Congo probes reports of uranium in cobalt exports to China. Details shortly. As the countdown to the Osun State governorship election thickens, the political fallout from the EFCC's freezing of the state's statutory allocation accounts continues to gather momentum, with fresh calls for accountability and a legal battle now unfolding. At a news conference in Abuja, the Accord Party praised President Bola Tinubu for directing the EFCC to lift the restriction on the accounts, describing the intervention as timely and necessary to protect confidence in the August 15th governorship elections. The party accused the anti-graft agency of acting in a partisan manner and said EFCC chairman Ola Olukoyede should resign or be removed if he refuses. Meanwhile, the Osun State government has filed a suit at the Federal High Court seeking to nullify the account freeze and challenging the Commission's action as unlawful, with a demand of 2 billion naira in damages. And moments ago, Osun State's resident Electoral Commissioner spoke with News Centrals outlining INEC's preparations and assurances ahead of next week's governorship election.
Started several programs before the election, before this period, to enable us to be able to deliver on our mandate. We have been involved in massive voter education using multiple media channels, and we are focused on the electorate to train them and to educate them on how, where, and when to vote. We have also paid particular attention to persons with disabilities to ensure we have an inclusive election. Women, students, like student union leaders, and young female voters. From 1st of June, we have been engaging with them at the state level and at the local government level. We have had several sensitization programs, and we still have one that is ongoing with civil society groups. Apart from that, a credible register is like the syllabus. Without a credible register, you cannot run good election. The Commission started continuous voter registration exercise in August 2025, and for Osun, we ended in April. And after the registration exercise, we were able to have 512,628 cards, which we are currently distributing. 622 cards, which we are currently distributing. We started at the registration area centers and we continued at the local governments. For now, as of yesterday, we have distributed 406,180 cards, which represents 79.2% of the cards we are going to distribute. We started on 22nd. Today is the last day, and we are optimistic many more registered voters will come up to pick their cards. We encourage the media to get involved with media accreditation, which closed on 2nd of August. And close to the election, we are going to get all the media accreditation cards, which we will distribute.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Media and Publicity Committee of the Osun State APC, Omar, has alleged that widespread financial fraud has been taking place under the current Osun State government. Omar made the claim in an exclusive interview with News Central while responding to questions on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's decision to freeze and later unfreeze the state account. He argued that the anti-graft agency's actions raised concerns about the state's financial management and called for greater transparency and accountability in the handling of public funds.
We are not EFCC. EFCC is an independent arm of the government, agency of government. But let me make this clear. It's so sad that Osun State has a university called University of Malaysia. That university is the most expensive university, government-owned university in Nigeria. A lot of civil servants cannot afford to send their children there. Our healthcare system are in shambles. and is in shambles. Governor Adeleke, just a few days ago, transferred 20,000 to all workers and artisans directly from the coffers of the Osun State government. The EFCC came up with a report that a lot is happening around the ecology fund. We had made a lot of noise that Osun got 17 billion for ecology fund. There's been an investigation on the 11 billion earlier. So EFCC will not come and meet you if they are not petitioned, if they did not notice something funny. And it's just like they catch a robber, armed robber, and someone is saying the armed robber is related to the governor, and because election is coming, we should release him.
The presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Adebayo, has urged Nigerians to demand the resignation or impeachment of President Bola Tinubu following the order to unfreeze Osun State's account while calling for strict adherence to the rule of law in handling issues involving the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Speaking during a press conference in Abuja, Adebayo said that he does not support calls for the resignation of EFCC Chairman Ola Olukayode, as the Commission should be allowed to carry out its constitutional responsibilities independently without political interference.
The Attorney General is the only political person who has authority to advise or interact with the EFCC. So for President to purport to order EFCC is already an impeachable offense, because EFCC is part of the legal process in Nigeria. The law is clear on how to get it right. If the EFCC wrongly froze the account of Osun State government, there are legal remedies that could be taken to unfreeze, including getting damages against EFCC.
We're now joined by News Central's correspondents, Bernard Akede and Mercy Babajide, who are on the ground in Osun State. Thank you both for joining us this evening. I'm kicking off with Mercy. Mercy, you had a conversation with the resident electoral commissioner earlier today. Can you tell us the key takeaways from your conversation with the resident electoral commissioner?
Okay, according to the resident electoral commissioner, Mrs. Babalola, she said she is ready. Of course, the commission, she spoke on behalf of the commission, and she said the commission is ready to, of course, give free, fair, and credible elections come August 15 for the Osun gubernatorial election. She also gave numbers. It was ranging to about 600,000 registered people that registered for their votes, and then about 400,000 people have collected most of their cards, rather. Well, that's not the case. We are on ground for APC campaign rally, because earlier on today they alleged that the government of, I beg your pardon, the government of Governor Adeleke would go as the government that has the highest number of abandoned primary healthcare centers in Nigeria. Well, they said EU letters must prove. We've not been able to go around to, of course, check if this is confirmed or true, but then we are on the campaign ground to, of course, get more insight or more info from them. Well, where we are right now, they barely even stood, and we're at Ife-Tedo in Ife, Osun State.
All right, Mercy, just stick around. Let me switch to Bernard. Bernard, both the APC and opposition parties have intensified their campaigns. From your interaction on the ground, who appears to have the momentum, and what are the parties doing in these final days to win over undecided voters?
All right, thank you, Charles. And it's good you're asking this question. So basically, from what we have observed on the ground, it's looking like it's a two-party, or rather a two-horse race, as a matter of fact. The momentum has been swinging just in two directions. The direction of the ruling party, which is Accord, and then that of, I would say, what they have called the strongest opposition, which is the All Progressives Congress, the APC. And just to buttress what I'm saying, I'm currently in a secondary school compound where there is a youth campaign ongoing, organized by the youth arm of the ruling Accord Party. And while we're speaking about that, I've been talking to some members of the campaign here, and one of them is Mr. Jenyo here, who actually is he's been moving with the group, and we've been asking questions about how the youth here in Osun State are seeing the activities of the election. Mr. Jenyo, it's nice to have you around. Now, this arm that is having the campaign here are the youth part of Accord Party. what would you say has been the contribution of the youth to this campaign movement so far?
I mean, the Mole Campaign Council has definitely showed the youth that Governor Adeleke is for them, and he has provided a lot of opportunities for the youth, such as classes and different things, just to show that the governor is for everybody. So,
all right, thank you, Mr. Genyo. Now, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I will still get back to him. So, Charles, largely, just as you asked, the momentum here in the state has been carried by majorly two parties, the Accord Party and the All Progressives Congress. And in the days leading to the election, this is the trajectory that we've been seeing. Other parties actually have been having their own activities, but the power, as we see right now, has been swinging between these two that I have just mentioned.
Lead correspondent Bernard Akede and, of course, Mercy Bergido on the ground, giving us up to date with what's going on in Osun State. Many thanks, both of you, for your reporting. We are back after the short break, and we will discuss this even further because, again, some other concerns have been raised regarding some disinformation and misinformation, and we have a guest in the studio who will give us a little bit of an insight, a legal practitioner, Michael Amosun. That's next, after this. Welcome back. This is the 6th edition here on News Central. Of course, the conversation continues. Like I mentioned earlier, a legal practitioner is joining us, Michael Amosun, who would give us an insight into the directive given by the president regarding the unfreezing of the account of Osun State government. Amosun, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Good evening to you.
Thank you.
Just ask this. I mean, the directive by the president, does it in any way show how dependent or independent the EFCC is?
First of it looks like it because, you know, perception is a new reality. If the president gives a directive to the EFCC to withdraw a matter and it follows suit, the EFCC, I mean, it shows that the president, whatever we have in the EFCC is dependent on the presidential directive. And it's not a very good one for the rule of law. You know what I'm saying? In this particular case, politics won. Rule of law is at the losing hand.
Right. So going forward now, what do you think the relationship between the presidency, you know, the judiciary, and even the EFCC would be?
We know that this is a bad precedent. If anything at all, this is a very bad precedent. I think that it would hurt even the presidency because, I mean, people saw this. No matter what it looks like in the face of the polity, people saw that this happened. People saw what happened after. It will be difficult for us to really convince the people that the EFCC is an independent body. And by its operation, Section 6 of the Act, the EFCC is supposed to be independent. It should not rely upon the presidential approval for any of its investigation. So it's not supposed to be. We don't know what will come. We're expecting what will come, but what we have on ground is a very bad precedent.
From the constitutional standpoint, I mean, we've seen that the SDP presidential candidate asking the president to resign. From the constitutional standpoint, does this in any way meet the threshold of asking the president to resign because of this directive?
Well, the constitutional section for this is a bit defined. So we are expecting that the National Assembly will take into this. If whether or not this is an impeachable offense is left to be decided by the National Assembly. They will look into it, you see. It's defined, and we have seen once and again, you know, this being tried on state governors. You see what I'm saying now? So let us see what will happen at the instance of the National Assembly in the coming days. Whether or not it's an impeachable offense, we'll leave it to the National Assembly to decide.
With what you've seen with public outcry,
yes,
do you think it tilts towards the confidence of the public with what has happened, or do you think that people are beginning to, you know, lose confidence in what the EFCC is doing, given that the presidency can just wake up and say, you know what, do this, else?
It has a sweet, sour taste. What we have on ground right now for the people of Osun State, particularly politicians, particularly politicians of the Accord front, they are happy because of the fact that the presidency could intervene in this particular matter. And because, I mean, just how many days to the election? So for them, some people will commend the president right now. That is the sweet part. The sour part will be after now, people will also swing back the sword when they see that some of the action of the EFCC seems to witch hunt a particular set of people. Even though when it is not connected with the presidency, they may also attribute it to the presidency, because we have seen once before that the presidency gave a directive to the EFCC, which is not supposed to be no power. And the constitution gives right to the president to give directive to the EFCC. The EFCC is supposed to be independent. So if that time comes, they will come back to condemn the president. So it's going to have a sweet time for the politicians. Like I said, this is a win for politics, but for the rule of law, it's a disaster.
And as still speaking on the rule of law, really, I mean, we've gone back and forth regarding whether the president should be involved in even appointing the EFCC chairman. I mean, if you were to advise, for instance, how do you think that we can align in such a way that the president doesn't really have a say in who is appointed as EFCC chairman?
So in other crimes, what we see them do is to have sovereign institutions that are not necessarily dependent on the government to be appointed or to be paid. Not necessarily appointed, but I think the payment. In those settings, you find out that those people at the helms of affairs of the institution are not scared to take decisions, because they know at the end of the day, what can happen is a suspension or maybe a removal. But they know that, time and season would be fair to them to say during their time they took this decision and all. But here, for example, now, the section, even of the we know that the selection of the chairman is done by the president, subject to the screening and approval of the National Assembly. See what I'm saying now? So I feel that it's a journey for Nigeria. We are going to a place where someday our systems and institutional framework will be so strong that there will be no reliance on the presidency. But for now, for what we see it to be, it's not something we have. I think it will be very good for democracy. It will be very good for accountability, for us to come to a time where the president has no say, particularly on the operation of the EFCC. It may still continue as a concerns selection, of course, based on the CADA qualification and consideration. But when it comes to the operation, I don't want to use the word funding, and it will not be solely for the presidency and the executive to decide.
All right, Michael and Osun, many thanks. We truly appreciate your insights on this particular topic.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. It is 162 days to the general election. Stakeholders are intensifying efforts to combat electoral misinformation and disinformation that could undermine the credibility of the polls. With campaigns expected to gain momentum in the coming months, fact-checking organizations, election observers, and civil society groups are stepping up public awareness initiatives to help voters identify and reject false election-related claims. Experts warn that manipulated videos, fake opinion polls, fabricated election results, and misleading political narratives could erode public trust and inflame tensions if left unchecked. They are urging Nigerians to verify election information through credible sources, particularly official updates from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, before sharing content online. Stakeholders say tackling disinformation early will be critical to promoting peaceful, credible, and transparent elections in 2027. Al-Hassan Bala, fact-checker, Osun specialist, co-founder Al-Kanchi, joins us in the studio for this discussion as it relates to the developments we're seeing across boards. The Osun State elections just a few days away, and of course the general elections, which is just 162 days away. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let's start with the Osun State elections. We just are counting days to this particular elections. What are you seeing on the ground as something that might be misinformation or disinformation ongoing right now?
Generally, when it comes to election, it has to do with the political party and candidates. That is where the misinformation and disinformation comes, and also the misinformation about the electoral umpire, that is INEC, whereby a lot of people will think like their vote will not count, which will eventually cause voters apathy. Right.
Is that what is going on right now for Osun State with what you've seen?
What we are seeing right now is more about the political parties. It's more about the candidates. There are a lot of few misleading claims about political party A and political party B to Z, for example. and then about candidate A, candidate B. That is what is right now going on, and which I have already seen some few ones. Although because the work I do as fact checker and also OSINT, I'm actually focusing on local language, Hausa, but I am seeing the one in English language.
AI-generated content, if you look at it from every part, is becoming believable with what we are seeing so far. I mean, these companies are refining their systems to make AI look really real. How prepared is Nigeria as a nation, and even, of course, every stakeholder, to beat what might come off as something that we might, be regretting when these things come up?
To be honest, AI are becoming more sophisticated to some extent, like differentiating between the genuine or authentic videos or pictures are becoming more difficult to detect, although there are a lot of ways to also detect based on the fact that there is nothing that will beat real something, authentic something. But the major issue now, for example, in Nigeria is that while there is a cyber security agency or unit that is in the Office of the National Security Advisor covering that, but I didn't actually see any much concerted effort to do something regarding these AI matters. Only the fact that the recent directive by the president about the social media companies had to do this to Nigerians, this and that, I think maybe that one may really help when they put on the Cybersecurity Act, which will have to do with the issue of cyberbullying, stalking, and so many other things, maybe will also help. But in terms of the AI generated things, generally, there is no much thing right now, and also it is going to cause a lot of harm to the society, a lot of harm to Nigeria, because this AI generated pictures, that is the propaganda is even sending to Nigeria from outside, which is the foreign information manipulation and interference, which is to also affect the Nigerian fragile democracy. And also we have been noticing that, and the pattern is ongoing. So I believe that Nigerian, like you mentioned, need to do more, the Nigerian government. Although my problem, or our problem as fact checkers, we see, or the Osun especially, we see that the leaders or the politicians sometimes are the beneficiaries of some propagandas, beneficiaries of some false narratives. So internally, there is these actors that they are benefiting from it, so they don't want that thing to end. Like the organization I co-founded, Al-Kalanchi, for example, we are training religious leaders, for example. We told them, like, there was a time I told them, like, if you do any propaganda or say false narrative, if it affect a particular political leader or somebody like a governor or somebody, it affects him directly, he can ask for your arrest. But if it favors him, he will clap. That is where the problem is. The same thing with the opposition parties. If the propaganda favors them, they will start clapping to that particular person that spread the particular misinformation or disinformation. They have a lot of role to play. And also, the sad thing is, for example, in my state, Kano State, for example, is the Sojo Jimbaka, which are like the soldier of mouth. They are the one that will enter radio station and just mix the truth and the falsehood. Maybe that is not much in the southern part of the country, but in the north is much. It is much. So those people are contributing to that, and the political leaders are clapping them because those that are mixing the fact with the false narrative are also benefiting from it.
Most Nigerians take a lot of these messages, especially election messages, on WhatsApp, on X, and even on Instagram or other social media handles. I'm just wondering, are there specific steps that Nigerians should take themselves in order to verify information that they receive? How is that step possible?
Number one is that not every particular information you see on social media is true. That's number one thing every Nigerian should understand. Not anything you see, like you just believe it. Most especially if it has to do that is emotion, or that is divisive, or that is hatred. Once there are those things, means that there are a lot of that are part of the red flags, which Nigerians need to. Then another issue is verification. You need to search, like, did any credible media organization reported this? Even if sometimes some media organizations, sometimes some misinformation or this slipped, we have seen that. So in that aspect, you will check with others, with other credible media organizations. All cannot be the same. So that is the simple way to get it. But the priority is that not every single information you see on social media is true. And also, if it is divisive, it's called hatred, it is emotional, it touches your heart like you started thinking negative, that is red flag. That means it's likely the aim is to trigger that emotion and cause violence and cause division, or in terms of election to cause you to lose hope, in the entire democracy or the election generally, which eventually will lead to voter apathy.
What should Nigerians look out for, especially as we build up to the major election? We know the Osun election is just 8 days away. What should Nigerians look out for, especially as it concerns disinformation, misinformation, in the build up to this very crucial elections that is 162 days away?
Audio.
Audio?
Yes. Audio, AI audios.
AI audios?
Yeah. Those are going to be the most dangerous ones sometimes, much more than the video and the pictures, because they are becoming more realistic. They are becoming more something you believe, like this is the person. The recent one about the president, you heard about it. It wasn't the president, but the AI mimic the voice of the president to make it, this is the president that is saying that. So that may likely happen with a lot of candidates in the political parties, a lot of people in different political parties, maybe the leadership of the particular political parties, so that people should be extra careful. And also INEC, there may be somebody who will create or use AI to mimic the chairman of INEC. That can be mimic IGP, for example, or any of the head of the security agencies. That people should actually watch out. Not every audio in the coming election you will listen, you will understand, unless if it is coming from credible media organization. For example, if News Central put a video with the IGP saying something, with the chairman of INEC saying something, with the president saying something, you cannot do that, except if you are videographer or cameraman is there, capture the president, capture the person, then you use it. Aside that, actually people should be extra careful in terms of any audio they receive, mostly on WhatsApp.
Right. I mean, speaking of audio, really, for audio, how do you detect it? Because, I mean, it sounds just like the example you gave, the president's audio being mimicked by AI. How do you detect it?
Well, it's one of the most difficult thing for even what they call them, fact checkers. It's one of the most difficult things to detect among the fact checkers globally. So it's even for us as fact checkers, it's actually becoming very difficult to talk less about ordinary citizens. But one important thing is that if you hear the audio, just make sure you search or you look forward to different radio stations, different TV stations, because there is no way you hear the audio without maybe having video. And also, if it is the audio, have the extended one. Is it like the cut and join, or what happened?
Right. Al-Hassan, Bala, many thanks. We truly appreciate you for insights on the program this evening.
Thank you, too.
All right. If you just, let's go on a short break. When we get back, Osun State government sues EFCC over account freeze, demands Olukoyade's resignation. We're back after the short break. Just stay with us. If you just joined us, here's a recap of our top stories. Osun State government sues EFCC over account freeze, demand Olukoyade's resignation. Kwara kidnap victims return home after months in captivity. DR Congo probes reports of uranium in cobalt exports to China. Victims abducted during the deadly attack on Wuro and Nuku communities in Kayama local government area of Kwara State have arrived in Ilorin following their rescue after months in captivity. The victims reportedly arrived late Thursday night and were received at Nigeria's Army 2 Division, Sobi Barracks, before being moved to an undisclosed location for the night. The rescued victims are expected to be formally handed over to Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, while authorities continue to verify the number of those released and provide medical and other support. Meanwhile, a member of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Saidu Baba Ahmed, alleged that some children among the 176 people abducted had been recruited into the kidnappers' ranks. Meanwhile, the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar, Touray, has paid a farewell visit to President Bola Tinubu at the State House in Abuja as the tenure of the current ECOWAS president comes to an end this month. Touray commended President Tinubu for his leadership and commitment to regional integration, describing him as a pillar of West Africa. He also credited President Tinubu for helping to reduce tensions across the region, while praising Nigeria's continued leadership role in advancing peace and integration within the sub-region. And after years of active legal disputes, the Enugu State government has recovered the land allocated to it since 1993 in the Uye district of Abuja. The governor of the state, through the permanent secretary and liaison officer Chukwuka Ugu, called on the FCDA to put in proper systems that will stop multiple allocations of same land to different persons. The land is in dispute, also known as the woodlands, is being developed in line with the federal government initiative of a greener future and solving the housing deficit faced by many Nigerians.
For over a while, spanning many years, the so-called land was given to allocated to Enugu State government by the FCDA, and along the line, some funny people tried to take over the property. But because of the resilience and the determination of the current governor, who has insisted that nobody will take that land from Enugu State, we are now where we are now fully in control of the said plot of land. My message to the FCT government is that proper follow-up of land administration should be vigorously pursued, in the sense that once an allocation has been issued to a particular person, there should not be another way of giving that same plot of land or site to another person.
We've had serious hurdles along the line with land grabbers, infiltrating the site at the time that we actually already took over the site. So it was a struggle for about 6 months, but the state intervened with the government to make sure that we got the site back legally. So the site is now back to us, safe and sound. That's why we actually had to, flag off the site officially with the state to just state that we're here and we just started our project.
Nigeria is turning to its vast diaspora as it looks to tackle the country's housing shortage and attract more investment into the economy. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is launching its new diaspora mortgage loan in London today, promising Nigerians living abroad a more affordable and secure route to buying homes back home. But will the scheme be attractive enough, and can it overcome long-standing concerns around affordability, transparency and trust in Nigeria's property markets? Well, our senior international correspondent, Afua Hagen, is in London and joins us now. All right, we are connecting back to Afia later for the conversation regarding these developments. The Democratic Republic of Congo has launched an investigation into reports that uranium may be present in some of its cobalt exports to China. The move follows a published investigation alleging that shipments of cobalt hydroxide exported by Chinese companies contain significant levels of uranium. The companies involved have denied the claims. Congolese authorities insist the naturally occurring uranium found in some mineral deposits does not breach international obligations. The government says independent tests will be conducted with support from the International Atomic Energy Agency. The DRC supplies more than 2/3 of the world's cobalt, making the probe significant for global mineral markets and supply chains. We're headed for a short break. When we come back, the 6th edition continues. Spain has threatened to impose travel restrictions on Italy unless Rome lifts border controls introduced after a mass migrant influx into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Italy says the measures will remain in place until at least August 15th. Italy insists the temporary suspension of Schengen rules is necessary to address possible migration and security risks. Spain rejects the justification, calling the restrictions discriminatory and unsupported by evidence. The dispute follows the arrival of about 72,000 migrants in Ceuta, with many later returning to Morocco. Madrid argues the migrants cannot enter the Schengen area, accusing Italy of acting on unfounded claims. Many mourners have gathered in Israel for the funeral of officers killed during military operations in southern Lebanon. 34-year-old Major Harel Birenstock was killed in an improvised explosive device explosion. Another soldier also died in the blast, while 4 others were injured. Family members paid emotional tribute, remembering Birenstock as a devoted husband, father, and son. His parents spoke of the grief of losing their firstborn, while his wife recalled his farewell before he left for military duty in October 2023. These latest fatalities underscores the continuing human cost of the fighting along the Israel-Lebanon border. And earlier we spoke to you about housing for people in the diaspora. We have our senior international correspondent, Afua Hagen, who is in London, joining us right now. Afua, many thanks. First of all, what exactly has FMBN launched today, and who is it aimed at?
Yes, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is basically saying if you're of the diaspora, if you live in London, Toronto, New York, wherever, that you should be able to use the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to buy a property back home. So what you do is you contribute to Nigeria's National Housing Fund, then you can qualify for financing and buy a home in Nigeria. And that's important because historically many diasporans who have wanted to own property have either had to purchase the property entirely by themselves or rely on private loans or private investors. And that is not often the best way to go. There's a real issue of trust when it comes to that. And I think that's what the Federal Bank of Nigeria, by co-signing these loans, by underscoring them, are trying to make sure that trust is really part of this new mortgage plan that they are rolling out. But talk to us more about it. I have my lovely guest. This is Rupert Gather, the director of Civic First PLC. Now, you do low-cost housing here in the UK and also in Nigeria as well.
Well, we're currently working with the Nigerian government to roll out a program of low-cost housing in Nigeria. By low cost, we're trying to hit a resale value of $20,000 to $25,000 US dollars, which will get a 2, 3 or 4 bedroom bungalows, properly manufactured built bungalow. My role in it is to put the funding together. So I'm working closely with the Nigerian federal government, but also the National Bank and the mortgage authorities to put the funding package together that will make these houses available across the country. The other things that have been really important to us is the amount of Nigerian local content, because obviously the development capital does come from overseas, but it's really important that the economic benefit stays in Nigeria. And to do that, we currently estimate about 70% of the content of the houses will be Nigerian. And that would obviously meaning the workforce that build the houses, but also all the window sets, the door frames, the kitchens, the bathroom sets, the electricals, wherever possible, those are manufactured and created in Nigeria, thus keeping in a circular economy, keeping the commercial value of those within Nigeria.
This new mortgage scheme for diasporans that's being launched today, do you think it's going to make a real difference to the housing market? And do you think that a lot of people will buy into it and be able to trust it?
Well, I really hope that people will trust it and get behind it. The housing need in Nigeria is really acute. I mean, at least 1 million houses short of where they need to be. And that just costs money. But the demand is real. Nigeria is a hugely successful country, so that the capacity to invest and be part of that journey must be attractive to the diaspora. But also, of course, it's not just the commercial value of investing within the mortgage bank, but it's also the social good you're doing, because you can really help Nigeria. Now, our interest is primarily in low-cost housing, but of course it spreads throughout the housing stock.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Rupert, for that. And, you know, like you said, there's a million houses of shortage in Nigeria. 1 million houses are needed. And that's not just for diasporans, that's for Nigerians back home as well. So what the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria hope to do is plug diasporans into a mortgage provider that's guaranteed by them, that's underscored by them, and increase the trust when Nigerians abroad come back home to buy their homes.
Afia, many thanks. We truly appreciate your reporting right there. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our major stories. Osun State government sues EFCC over account freeze, demands Olukoyede's resignation. Kwara kidnapped victims return home after months in captivity.
Yeah, thank you.
DR Congo probes reports of uranium and cobalt exports to China. Remember, you may send in your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Follow us on social media. We are News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Evo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Charles Pius. See you next week.